It's not anything compared to what's going to happen next year in 2026. Now, tomorrow night on the No Spin News, right here, I'm going to lay out what you're likely to see coming your way quickly, because December is going to fly by. You know that. It's 3.5 weeks before Christmas. That's going to go boom. And then all of a sudden we're in January. Things will change big time in this country next year. And there is a very practical reason why. And you will not hear this analysis anywhere else in this country. So tomorrow I'm going to drop it on you. We're still researching a few things. And you know us, we're very methodical in our research. Now, this year, we are now again experiencing, I should say, a war on Christmas. But it's very different than the one I encountered in 2005. Can you believe I was reporting on the war on Christmas on the O'Reilly Factor 20 years ago? Oh, boy, talk about time flying. It's the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So back then, it was atheists demanding that the words Merry Christmas be banished. A very simple concept. Offensive, off the chart. Horrible, violation of the First Amendment, all that. And some of these companies are actually threatening employees. Some department stores said, if you say Merry Christmas instead of Happy Holidays, we're going to fire you. No, that did not sit well with me. Here's what I said November 9th, 2005. Go.
Factor investigation segment tonight. As you know, Christmas has become controversial in America. Public displays of the federal holiday are under attack by the ACLU, and some department stores even tell employees to avoid saying Merry Christmas. So we decided to look at some retail policies this year.
And that was the end of that, because I named the stores that were threatening their employees, and you, the millions of people who watch me, said, we're not shopping there. All of them folded. All of them. I remember Target was involved somehow. I think they were a holdout, but they all folded. And we won. And I thought that was it. But now, 2025, 20 years later, there's a new war on Christmas, but it's different. Okay, you ready for this? So, the far left does not want immigration enforcement in America. I think that is a true statement. They supported the open border of President Biden. They don't like ICE. They don't want people held to account. They just don't want any of it. They are using that, and I'm generalizing now, but it's getting pretty common, all right, to say that Christian white men, hello, right here, are ruining Christmas because we are biased against illegal, undocumented aliens. Well, I'm not. I give millions of dollars to help migrants. But I support the immigration laws that we have. They need to be updated, but they need to be enforced. That's my posture. So there is a guy named John Pavlovitz, all right, 56 years old, Syracuse, New York. He is not an official minister, but he's attached to theological concerns. And he has a empathetic people network. So he writes a column, and I'm going to quote briefly from it. Quote, the brutal Yuletide assaults haven't come from atheists or agnostics, not from humanists or Muslims, not from coffee franchises or the liberal media or progressive Christians or the mythical woke mob. The very white conservatives who have been loudly sounding the alarm are incessantly advancing hordes. They're the ones warring with Christmas because they've disregarded their own story. Christmas was a child of Palestinian Jewish parents. I think he means Jesus there, desperately fleeing political ordered genocide. Christmas was a dark-skinned child born amid the smell of damp straw and animal dung because no human-worthy welcome could be found, unquote. All right, so they're pretty provocative. The white men are the ones attacking Christmas. All right. So we called Mr. Pavlovitz, and very politely, because my staff is very polite. They're totally unlike me. Okay, they're very, and he just basically said, no, we're not talking to you, O'Reilly. Okay, John, you don't have enough courage to come on and talk to me, then, look in the mirror, pal. But don't give me a skin color analysis of Christmas, okay? That's racist. And I don't care what color you are, okay? But it's just racist, flat out racist, in my humble opinion. When you bring skin color in, white Christian men are ruining Christmas because we don't agree with you on immigration enforcement. Okay, so this is around, and Pope Leo, and he doesn't even know what's happening. I'm guarantee it. You're getting drawn into this thing. And I'm watching that very, very closely. And hopefully, I'm going to try every trick in my bag to get an interview with Pope Leo. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to try. But the progressive left, the Pavlovitzes of the world, are trying to pull him in here to condemn anyone who would uphold immigration law in the United States and who believes that the ICE agents are not terrible people. I don't believe that. I believe they're public servants doing their job. Okay, now there are excesses, there are mistakes, of course. I'd like to see a policy with a footprint that's not quite as dramatic. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with the deportation judges. Nobody does. And that's the key to it all. If they take somebody in, they're not a criminal alien, do the judges allow them to go back to where they were? Or do they get a deportation order signed? I don't know. Nobody knows. That's the key to the story. Okay, so just for your information, I know you don't care about the guy, but Pavlovitz, he hates Donald Trump. He's a very, very stringent progressive. And he is trying to whip up a war on Christmas scenario that demonizes people who see it differently than him. That's all. Now, I want to talk to Franklin Graham about this and other. Franklin Graham, Billy Graham's son? There he is. He's on TV all the time asking you for money. And I met him a couple of times. He's a nice enough guy. And we put in a call to Franklin Graham. This is very strange. He, like Pavlovich, basically told us to get you know what. It was shocking. If you don't want to do the show, fine, be respectful. And I'll give you a name, Mark Barber, Media Relations Director for Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. Guy was just totally disrespectful to us. And that goes right to Franklin Graham. Okay, so I'm taking a different look at him. Now, Samaritan's Purse, they're a money machine. They spend a lot of money on television. Graham does. He's there. Wants your money, wants my money. I'm not giving him any money because I don't trust him now. Don't. You can be respectful. If Franklin Graham can't take the heat from me, and it wouldn't be that much heat, but I would ask him about the immigration thing because he's an evangelical. That's it. And that's a memo. All right, here's an update on the Afghan shooter, 29 years old, Ramen Nullah Lakanwal. Okay, came here as part of a humanitarian patrol that President Biden ordered when we surrendered in Afghanistan back in 2021. Okay, so this guy drove from Washington State, Bellingham, to D.C., shot 2 National Guards people. Andrew Wolf fighting for his life, age 24. Sarah Beckstrom, dead, murdered, age 20. We don't have funeral arrangements for Sarah Beckstrom, but I hope she receives the same amount of attention as Charlie Kirk did, because it's the same thing. You know, this 20-year-old National Guardswoman is doing her duty, and it's just assassinated. And, you know, so I'm going to take a special interest in making sure that her legacy is upheld. Now, the Trump administration invited the two families to the White House. Very nice and appropriate. They have said that they're going to have an indefinite pause on all immigration requests from Afghans. Might overdo that, but I understand it. Green cards linked to 19 countries, most of them Muslim, are being re-examined. Nothing wrong with that. Asylum cases approved under the Biden administration are being reviewed. Okay, it's all about public safety. And the final thing is that big meeting tonight in D.C. about Maduro and Venezuela and a whole bunch of stuff. But I know that this will come up as well about how to handle illegal migrants, undocumented migrants who have come from Muslim nations, as Afghanistan. All right, let's go to Memphis, Tennessee. Nice town, very dangerous. Okay, been there a number of times, right on the Mississippi River. So the governor of Tennessee, Bill Lee, Republican, asked President Trump to send National Guard to Memphis. Okay, that was in September of this year. The National Guard was to assist a new strike force, crime strike force, that was put together, the Memphis Safe Task Force. Why was that needed? Well, Memphis is a very violent town, and it shouldn't be, okay? So it has, according to the FBI, the highest violent crime rate per 100,000 residents in the country. Now, since the Memphis State Task Force arrival in September, October, murders in Memphis have fallen 48%, 48%, compared to the same days in 2024. And a new poll from the Beacon Center of Tennessee asked Tennesseans, okay, do you approve or disapprove President Trump's decision to send the National Guard to Memphis? Overall approval, 63%. Disapprove, 33%. No opinion, 4%. Democrats approved 24%. Disapproved, 73%. No opinion, 2%. Republicans approved 90%. Remember, Tennessee is a red state. Disapprove, 8%. No opinion, 3%. Independents approved, 51%. Disapprove, 42%. Okay, so the folks want the Guard, want the task force. And it was done with very little fanfare because the governor asked for it, unlike Illinois and Oregon, where the governors don't want the National Guard or any federal presence controlling the streets. And joining us now is from Memphis is Otis Sanford, political columnist at the Daily Memphian. Mr. Sanford has been covering town for 35 years. I think he knows more about Memphis than anybody. And when I go there next, I'm calling him up for the best barbecue because he knows what he's doing down there. Now, from reading your columns, Mr. Sanford, you don't want the Guard there. Am I wrong?
Well, it's not that I don't want them here. It's that they are not really contributing all that much to the crackdown in crime. Governor Bill Lee said in August that they were not needed here in Memphis because crime has been going down in Memphis for the last couple of years. You cited the 40 plus percentage since the task force has been here. Overall, in 2025, it's down. Homicides are down 23% over 24, and it was down 22% in 24 compared to 23. So crime was already going down.
All right,
and
but
I don't necessarily see where the Guard
couple of things.
really impacted this.
That's the same argument they make in Chicago and Oregon and every place. The crime was going down. We don't need the National Guard. But when the National Guard is there, and you may be absolutely right, it's a show of force because National Guard doesn't have arrest powers, okay? But when you combine the task force, and the Guard is part of the task force, as you know, and 48% is down on homicide, that's hundreds of people's lives. So even if you didn't say it's vital, no skin off Memphis's back or Tennessee, federal government pays. Why not have them if lives are being saved? I'm a simple man. That's my simple question.
Well, I mean, you make a good point, and crime is down. There's no question about that. And I have, gone on record as saying that there are a lot of people in Memphis who do appreciate the Guard and the entire task force being here. And really, the National Guard is not the big issue here in Memphis. They are escorting police. They are the eyes and ears of the law enforcement that's already here. The big issue here is how the task force, especially ICE agents and Border Patrol agents, are policing the city and really wreaking a little havoc with law-abiding immigrants.
Okay, but that's a separate thing now. All right, it's different departments.
I agree.
Right, and look, both sides in the ICE debate have points that should be considered. As I said, I think that they should be, and I told this to Tom Homan on worldwide TV, you've got to be a little bit more methodical about this and explain what you're doing. But getting back to the crime situation, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because you know a lot more about your town than I do. It was driven by drug gangs, all right? The violence. It was shocking that a town like Memphis, when there's no reason for it to be so violent, becomes the most dangerous place according to the FBI. It's shocking. So I think Lee, the governor, did a smart thing by stepping in and saying, look, yeah, we may be driving down the violence a bit, but now we're going to obliterate it, and we're going to bring in the National Guard to help. I would have done it. I bet you, Mr. Sanford, if you were governor, you would have considered it too.
Well, again, the governor did say in August that the National Guard was not needed.
Yeah, but then he asked Trump to send them in.
Crime was going down.
He asked Trump to send them in. So come on, you can change your mind if you're a politician. It doesn't make.
Yeah, he did change his mind.
He did, right, and that's fine.
And of course, he had two senators who helped him change his mind.
you know the game. But if they're right, if people's lives are being saved, we should all celebrate that. Last word.
I don't disagree with that. And again, people are behaving themselves a little bit more. The crime that is in Memphis is a factor of, yes, a lot of gang activity. Yeah. But poverty.
I look, poverty drives that, but you're never going to solve the poverty problem ever. But you can help it, but not when chaos reigns, not when people are afraid to go out of their houses, kids are afraid to go to school, they get beat up, whatever. It's not the way to do it. You need order. Mr. Brown, Mr. Sanford, thank you very much. We really appreciate you taking the time. Okay, and I'm tying this into the National Guard in D.C. and Chicago and Oregon, because the National Guard, what that is a symbol. And the drug gangs that cause, I'd say 75% of all of this mayhem, they're not going to go up against the Guard. They're not going to. So in order to drive their mayhem and violence down, you need a symbol like that. And then you put other law enforcement around them that do have arrest powers. This is not a PhD strategy. This is just common sense. So Trump figured it out pretty early that this was a way, a dramatic way and a quick way to save lives. I don't know what the opposition, I really can't fathom it. You save 10 lives, it's worth it. and the feds pick up the tab. And the poor guards people, they're subjected to all kinds of horror from the progressive left. Here is the final thought. So AI is going to take over the world, and I'm on it. I'm watching it. And an IQ avatar Santa Claus, IQ avatar Santa Claus, discussed confronting evil. Roll the tape.
Confronting evil is a chilling gift as it unpacks the darkest chapters of human behavior through gripping profiles of history's most destructive figures. Its stark examination of power, cruelty, and consequence leaves readers with an unforgettable sense of the stakes involved when evil goes unchallenged.
Well, thank you, phony Santa. AI Santa, thank you. Don't we live in a crazy time here? AI Santa, Avatar Santa, I don't even know what it is, but he liked confronting evil, and we hope you will consider it. It's a tough sell. Put evil under the tree, put evil in your stocking. Oh, I've twinned it with confronting presidents and kind of take the edge off a little. It's a great gift, though. The book is, you won't be able to put it down. Also, happy birthday to Willette Foy, Columbia, South Carolina. Willette, 98 years old. Yesterday. Still lives alone, still functions. Way to go, Willette. Your family loves you. Happy birthday. Thank you for watching and listening to the No Spin News. We'll see you again tomorrow. Money. Like most of you, I didn't have a lot when I was growing up. I earned every cent. And I'm not a money guy, not a Lamborghini guy. No jewelry, don't do that. No $18 cocktails. I harbor my money. And I do that because I understand the value of it for providing protection against evil. More money you have, more protection you can buy. And I've instilled that in my children, that we're not wasting it. We work hard for it. We respect it. In America today, there is a struggle for the currency because many people find themselves in positions where they're not earning all that much money and prices are going up. And that is putting the whole political process in a pressure cooker. So when I was at the White House last Wednesday, I discussed this with President Trump. And the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving, the president actually yelled at me for reporting extensively on it and saying that it's, we're blowing it out of proportion, where I respectfully disagree. Because the midterm vote is going to be based on how Americans are feeling about their finances. Not Ukraine, not even the border. The border's pretty much solved now. We still have the ongoing migrant controversy, not the Middle East, not even China. It's your wallet. And so my discussions with President Trump continue along those lines. Now, he is going out, as you know, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So he will be, Donald Trump, in Mount Airy, Pennsylvania, that's in the Poconos, this evening, and he will speak on the economy and his vision and what he has already accomplished. I can't write speeches for presidents. I wouldn't do it even if asked. I can give advice, but I'm not going to get involved like that. But I said on News Nation last night that to blame Biden for all this, not going to get President Trump anywhere, any currency. Every clear-thinking person knows that President Biden was not up to the task. And Donald Trump inherited a mess. But he did make very specific promises that he would improve the situation, and that's where he stands now. So this is the fairest analysis you will ever hear in the American media. I'm about to give it to you. And I always recommend that you watch the No Spin News and listen on the radio with a pen and paper. Essentials of life, okay? Beef prices are up 15%. Bacon up 6%. Coffee up 19% for coffee. All right? Stuff you need around the house, supplies up 3%. Rent up 3%. Okay, that's the downside. Apparel, clothing, down about 1%. Eggs, butter, fruit, cereal, fish, seafood, rice, pasta, ham, all down in price. And this is year to year. Okay, Biden was in office last year at this time. Trump's now, year to year. That's a big list. You'll never hear it in the media. Eggs, butter, ice cream, fruit, cereal, fish, seafood, rice, pasta, ham, all down. So don't eat the steak. I mean, that's what I do. And it's not I'm being cheap. If I want steak, I could buy 80 of them. Okay? But I don't want to reward this. So if the meat is too high, I'm going to eat fish or chicken. That'll drive the price down. That's capitalism. Insurance, that's the big one. Okay. Health insurance up 6%. And for senior citizens, that is very, very difficult. Home insurance up 4%. Auto insurance up a whopping 12%. Why? What are you guys doing out there? You're paying all these football players millions of dollars to pump your insurance, and it's 12% up? Even if you don't have an accident, you're getting hosed. All right? Utilities are up 5%. Okay? Now, that doesn't make a lot of sense because gas prices at the pump are down and falling. Oh, utilities are up. Those utility companies, you got to watch them because you got to assume in America, all these corporations are going to make as much money as possible. They're not like us here, and we artificially keep our prices for stuff we sell down. They don't do that. I don't have to answer to stockholders, but you know what the drill is. Okay, so gas prices are down about 3%, except in California where they're up. And what am I going to tell you guys out there? You're trading nice weather for chaotic governance. That's what you're doing. Mortgage rates are down. Okay, and they're going to fall even further when the Fed cuts rates tomorrow, which I believe it will, 0.25%. So if you're looking to buy a home, it's going to fall below 6%. Though you should look around. That's a good rate. It's a decrease of 9% for mortgage rates and falling. Rents are high. Rents, you don't get your money back. Look around if you can put the down payment. Okay. Stock market flying. Dow up 8. NASDAQ up 19% this year. That's AI stocks. Risky. But the stock market is doing well. So if you have a 401k, a 403b, individual retirement account, IRA, and 60% of American adults do have them, you're up. Your wealth is growing. So this affordability stuff is very murky here. Okay, unemployment, about the same. 4.1 to 4.4. But if you want a job, you can get it. And particularly in the service industry, they're desperate for people to work. And you don't get tax on tips now. And wages are up 4% for civilian workers, private industry, 3.5%. So wages are going up. This isn't a dire economic circumstance. It's not. But here's the kicker. Every day, every way, the American media is pounding affordability crisis, affordability crisis, affordability crisis. Roll the tape.
The affordability crisis.
The affordability issue.
Affordability is what voters are mad about.
The affordability crisis.
Out of control affordability issue.
Housing affordability.
When it comes to the affordability problem.
Affordability is a real thing.
No, it's all a bunch of nonsense and propaganda. They don't care about the stats that I just read you. And my staff did an excellent job sorting all that out. They don't care because they don't like Trump. They want Trump to lose. So I hope, in the interest of fairness, that the Trump administration gets very precise about what it's doing, what it's going to do next year, and where things are. Biden, we don't need to hear about him. Doesn't do anybody any good. Everybody knows. We don't need exaggerations from the president. This is a serious issue, particularly insurance. I mean, those guys over there in the insurance agencies, something going on. That's not good. Finally, 2018, Donald Trump's second year in office, Republican Party got whacked, lost 41 seats in the House. Donald Trump remembers that. And that was one of the big things that I discussed with him. You went through this. This time around, if he loses 41 seats or if he loses 10 seats, he's a lame duck. Not going to get any legislation passed through the Democratic House. Ever. Big for his legacy, for him. So tonight he starts on the road. We will report on that tomorrow extensively, what he says, strengths and weaknesses. And that's the joining us now from Ann Arbor, Michigan, is Dr. Betsy Stevenson, professor of economics at the University of Michigan, and was a chief economist for the U.S. Department of Labor under President Obama. We're very pleased to have the doctor on. As always, I ask my staff, get the best person. Okay, and here we have. All right, in my memo, did I make any mistakes, mislead anyone, anything that you found that I should not have done?
Well, I'm going to start by telling you that I learned a really important lesson when we saw the kind of inflation coming out of the pandemic that then came down pretty quickly, which was I basically told people, hey, don't worry about it. Prices are coming down. Your wages are going up. Everything's fine. And that people don't want to hear that. So I wouldn't suggest you try to call the affordability discussion a hoax or blame it on the media, because I'm telling you right now, a lot of people are feeling that way. And then the job is to figure out why they're feeling that way. And are there things you can do that just relieve the pressure enough that they won't feel that way? And I think the challenge that Biden faced was he couldn't really identify why people felt that way. And I'm sure you're about to tell me why. We don't need to go down that road.
No, I don't want to rehash.
It's a failure to listen.
Okay.
And so I do want to give you that warning.
But in a capitalistic system, there are winners and losers. There are people who fall behind and people who surge ahead. That's reality. It's always been that way. The U.S. media...
I'm an economist and I teach capitalism. I'm actually a huge markets person. That's not exactly how capitalism works. So it's the voluntary exchange. So people are made better off through trading with each other. You and I are made better off by coming together and having this conversation today, Bill. Like, that's what capitalism is all about. We improve each other and we come together. And so you are right that sometimes there are people who fall behind and while others get ahead. But that's not the nature of capitalism. The nature of capitalism is being able to grow and do more through voluntary exchange. And the more voluntary exchanges we have, the better we are.
Okay, but that's theoretical. I'm operating in the real life, and I would get a D in your class because I was never a theoretician at all. The essence of capitalism is that there are winners and losers. The essence of communism and socialism is everybody's the same because the government imposes that. Now, the question becomes for the American voter next year in the midterms, are there more winners than losers? Because there are always going to be losers for whatever reason, and the reasons are all over the place. But do most people feel that they are okay financially? If you listen to the media and that filters through to most Americans, you're getting hosed every way by Trump. That's the pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding every single day. People don't pay close attention. They absorb that and they get negative about it. Now, in order for the president to overcome that, he's got to do what I did and say, Here's the menu right here. Here are the stats. It's the only way to do it. Am I wrong?
So, first of all, I teach a very, very applied course. I'm deeply involved in the real world. And I still am going to say that I think your framing that capitalism is all about winners and losers is not correct. It's actually all about the chase. I don't ever want to say, once people win, if people stop chasing them, the whole capitalism system doesn't work anymore. We're all striving to be better than the guy who's on our tail. That's what capitalism is all about. And what I'm seeing in this economy right now is we're seeing a decrease in supply. And if you want to know where affordability problems come from, it comes from not having supply expand as quickly as
give
demand is
me an example of
expanding.
supply. What are you talking about now?
So, for instance, you can't pretend that tariffs are not hurting prices and hurting supply.
Tariffs,
you might say,
okay.
this is going to be worth it. We need to restructure our economy. We need a manufacturing base. But the price of coffee is up because we made it harder to bring coffee into the country.
No doubt about it.
And unfortunately, we did that at a time where there was also an agricultural problem that hurt supply. So if we want housing
You
to be
can make
cheaper,
that
you know what you
argument.
do? You build more housing. If you want healthcare to be cheaper, you know what you do? You train more doctors. If you want food to be cheaper, you know what you do? You bring in more food or you grow more food. So it's all about, if we bring more to the problem, prices come down.
Okay. And I think that analysis is excellent. But you're not citing one very important thing. In order for this economy in the United States to grow to the benefit of the workers, Donald Trump believes that it has to go from a service economy to a manufacturing economy, back to manufacturing. And therefore, he imposed the tariffs to get more money and more action in building back manufacturing jobs. Now, he says he succeeded, but you and I can't see it, and most Americans can't see it yet. So he's basically trying to sell a phantom. He's trying to sell, this is what's going to happen because of what I did. Hard sell. But that's why he did it.
It's a hard sell. It's also a hard sell because manufacturing jobs have been declining under him. And I do, look, I live in Michigan.
It takes time, though, to rebuild those factories to get that investment up and running. Can't just do it with a magic wand.
Nobody is going to dispute that. But it's hard to justify, putting tariffs on bananas and coffee and things like that when on rubber, when you need rubber on the cars and you're trying to make sure that we are producing more cars in America. So I would like his tariffs to be much more targeted. I think we could agree on that. But look, I'm not here, I don't know. You want to make the case for what Trump needs to do to build his case for his defense of the economy. I just want to tell you what I think is right for the American economy, regardless of who is in power. And I think there's a lot of room for bipartisan agreement that we need to make it easier for small businesses. They need to be able to count on a certain economic environment. And I think we need to try to do everything we can to reduce every barrier that companies face when they want to expand, hire.
Okay, but that's not happening in all the blue states, including well, I shouldn't say that. Your governor has changed her opinion about this. So the regulations that we have that strangle the economy have been imposed largely by the Democratic Party. And I agree with you. Free trade is always best. Let the market roll. On the insurance thing, if you opened up competition among the insurance companies in all areas across state lines, you drive those prices right down, correct?
Well, I don't know. I do think insurance companies are facing higher costs on their payouts, but I will tell you, you and I can find lots of agreement there. More competition is better, and let's increase.
All right, but I don't want to get too into macro.
I think that it's unfortunate to be pointing fingers and trying to decide, who's doing what. I think what I'd like to see is people work together to figure out how we can give America the kind of affordable economy they want.
Okay.
And I think there are lots of people that, whether they have a Republican or Democrat by their name, that are willing to work on affordability by increasing supply and increasing competition and realizing that companies and corporate profits, they're part of the solution, not part of the problem.
And listen, I am right there with you on that. Last question. I believe the economy is fairly strong at this point in history. Am I wrong?
So we're in a really tricky spot in the economy. It is not weak. When people say, oh, look, the economy is weak, but it does look like it could be at an inflection point in which it is weakening.
All right,
The
but this
problem
is
we
point,
have when we
you
see-
think it might be weakening. See, I don't see it.
What I see in the labor market is I do see that, you said Donald Trump wants to turn us away from a service economy.
Right.
Right now, all the job hiring is occurring in two major services: health and education services and tourism. Even business and professional services, no jobs. And so
Okay, but that's
that
why
is
he's
where-
bringing those manufacturing, or hoping that he can get that manufacturing thing back to give the union workers more option, which drives salaries up. Very good, Doctor. Very good discussion. And I appreciate your time very much. Hope you have a Merry Christmas out there in Ann Arbor. Say hello to everybody for me. I'm sure I have a lot of fans out there. Thank you very much. Here's a really disturbing story. There is a woman named Jennifer Welsh. She's a far-left loon on the internet. We don't pay attention to loons, but she's there. Erica Kirk is now trying to get attention for a book. So she goes on with Andrew Ross Sorkin and says this. Go.
He became more conservative, as did I once getting married, because you want a country that's for your children, that they're not renters of everything. They actually own property. They own land. They're invested in this country. They're proud to be a citizen. They're proud of what they've built and what their family has built. And so hand in hand, him and I both were able to see that on full display. And that's why he would tell so many young people, get married and have children. And it wasn't because he was trying to be misogynistic or anything from that nature.
It's not misogynistic to suggest that marriage might be a good thing. But it is to Jennifer Welsh. Roll it.
This is an intentional attack on poor women. And this is a dehumanization, all done in the name of her Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, which is the exact opposite of what the central character of the faith of Christianity preached against. So this is intentional weaponization of her gender and her faith. And she is a grifter. And just look at the costume changes. Look at the costume changes. Look at the affect and how she does that. It's wild. This woman should be kicked to the curb. She is an absolute grifter, just like Donald Trump and just like her unrepentant, racist, homophobic husband was.
Doesn't get more vile than that. Now, those kinds of people hurt every liberal in this country. Most liberals would never say anything like that. But the extremism on the left has really damaged the liberal movement and Democratic Party because of her. And on the same subject, Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman from Texas, says she's going to run for the Senate. No chance she could win. She'll get wiped out by Ted Cruz. Here's what I said on News Nation last night. I don't subscribe, as Mr. Trump does, to trying to belittle whoever he's doesn't like. And he does it to me, too. So I'm used to it for 35 years. But I'll tell you what. I follow Congresswoman Crockett a bit because she's very entertaining, only for entertaining value, all right? I have not heard her say anything about solving any problem that makes sense. Not one thing, not one problem. Her whole reputation is hating Trump. Final thought of the day, the post office is over. Denmark, after this Christmas season, stopping mail delivery. The whole country. farming it out to some private company. That will happen in the USA. The U.S. Post Office loses $9 billion a year. $9 billion. Because everybody's texting and emailing. Not me. I'm sending the card, putting a stamp on it, sending it old school. I think that's the way to go. Text, all right, but a real card? That's the way. Thank you for watching and listening to the No Spin News. We'll see you tomorrow.